Well, good morning and welcome everyone to our virtual Friday hosted by your Kingsport Chamber. We are pleased to have everyone back from our last virtual Friday and welcome any new participants. We all have had to adapt to a new way of doing things, and virtual Fridays are just one of those ways your Kingsport Chamber has adapted. So we thank you all for joining us this morning. This month's sponsor is Western Governors University, which is an online university where you can earn an affordable, accredited, career-focused college degree at an accelerated pace. We appreciate your sponsorship this morning for this morning's program. We look forward to hearing from you in just a few minutes. Now we have a special gentleman that will present our invocation this morning, Mr. Bob Miller. Bob is retired from Eastman after only 35 and a half years. He's 101 years young and celebrated his 75th wedding anniversary May 22nd, 2018. He also walks 3 miles every day. Bob is a staple of our community and has been for many years. Mr. Bob Miller, welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. Our Father, we meet virtually rather than in person. We thank Thee for the Zoom electronic marvel which allows us to do so. We express our appreciation for living in a land of freedom, freedom that is unknown to millions of the world's citizens. We thank you for the blessing of living in Kingsport, Tennessee. We express our appreciation for an excellent school system that educates our children to an extraordinary degree, for the presence of 2 full-service hospitals and the nearby location of a multitude of medical specialists who can serve our medical needs without us having to travel to distant points. We thank Thee for our very successful United Way and the large percentage of our community who generously support their many community services year after year. We thank Thee for our community, for our Chamber of Commerce, who help us serve the needs of the community. Working together, we are always more efficient and effective than if we tried to do these things individually. For all of these multitude of blessings, we sincerely thank Thee, O Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Now we would like to introduce today's sponsor, the Chancellor of Western Governors University, Tennessee, and also the Regional Vice President, Southeast Western Governors University, Ms. Kimberly Estep. If during her presentation you have any questions, please feel free to ask those in the chat, and Kimberly will be happy to answer them just after her presentation. Kimberly, the screen is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so good to be here before all of you virtually. Many of you who have been with the Chamber for many years have seen me in person come about once a year to present for the 4th Friday breakfast, and we've done presentations and we've done panels, and it's been a lot of fun. And now we're all having to do these kinds of things differently. So everything is virtual. For a while, our church was virtual. My Rotary Club in Nashville is virtual. It seems like everything we do these days is via Zoom. And so we're having to learn to operate in the new normal. So this year, what I decided to do for our program is to talk a little bit about a question that I get a lot. It's the most common question I get from people who know what I do for a living. And their question is, what are you doing to respond to COVID-19? How has this impacted what you do as an institution of higher learning? Most of you know Western Governors University came to Tennessee as part of Governor Haslam's Drive to 55, or former Governor Haslam, 7 years ago this summer, 7 years ago in July. And our goal is to provide online competency-based degrees primarily to working adults. So our students are not like the traditional college student. Our students are working all day. Many of our students in our health college are on the front lines of COVID-19 treatment in hospitals all over the country. In Tennessee, in the 7 years that we've been here in the state, we have graduated almost 6,000 students with a degree. So we've contributed a lot and are continuing to contribute to those goals for educational attainment, which is something we're really proud of. In the Southeast region, which actually encompasses 6 other states, we have about 23,000 students. In Tennessee, we have a little over 4,000 students. So we've been growing, and we are working in many ways now as we were working before. So the first thing I wanted to tell you is it is in one way an advantage to be an online university. All of our students access us through their computers. All of our faculty do their work with students from home. They work 40 hours a week. They have students who set up appointments with them throughout the day into the evening and often on weekends, but their work is already done virtually. So for the teaching and learning process in March, when we were all told to close down our offices and go home, which for us was March the 12th, we got an email that day that came out from our national president that said, at the end of the day, send your people home with what they need to work remotely. Don't come back in the office. And so we've been working remotely ever since. But for our faculty and our students, they've continued to do their work online. Students who were impacted the most were our teachers college candidates who were in Tennessee classrooms getting their student teaching hours for licensure. But just as with students from all other higher education institutions, we worked with the state. The state provided some waivers, which allowed students who were in a classroom, and you can imagine how challenging this was across the state when all student teachers we're told the same thing. We need you to pack up and go home, and we're sending the kids home and we're not coming back. And they didn't come back in the spring. So we have had to respond to that. But in terms of the typical teaching and learning process, for us, it has been very much continuing on with our online programs. Our students sign up for 6-month terms. They can start the first of any month, and because we're competency-based, they do their courses, and as soon as they finish a course, they move on to the next course. They pay a very low flat rate, a little over $3,000 for each 6-month term, and finish as many courses as they can finish in that term. So as we've been working in the new normal, though, we've had to think through other things that were never really an issue for us in the past. We don't have residential students. We didn't have to deal with shutting down dormitories and sending students home. What we did have to deal with was the fact that many of our students who are working adults were either working incredibly long hours at their jobs, or on the opposite front, were being laid off from their jobs. We had a tremendous number of students who lost their jobs or had their hours cut because they were working in an industry that was impacted by COVID-19. We were not one of the institutions that received any federal funding to support our students, because that funding was based upon how many students you had living in residence on your campus. And for us, that's 0, because all of our students are working from home and studying from home. But that doesn't mean they don't have bills, and that doesn't mean that many of our students were not distressed. So we have done a number of things to reach out to our own distressed students and to our communities that we know have been impacted. And I thought this morning I would share a little bit about what we're doing and then open it up for you to ask me questions. So I'll go ahead. The first thing I want to show you is a video that is kind of a montage of video scholarship presentations. You know, many of you remember we've done our 10K scholarship, which is our biggest scholarship in the state. And we used to come out with a giant check, and the TV journalists would come out and we would present the check. We had to figure out a way to do these. So what I'm going to show you now is kind of a montage of me doing scholarship presentations from my home and the students' reactions to finding out via Zoom that they had won a big scholarship. So we'll go ahead and run the first video. I'm not hearing any sound.
You work for Jackson Madison County Schools, and I was going to ask you, are you guys, I assume you're all working from home, the schools are closed. First of all, did you have any disruption from the tornadoes that hit? Tony, can you hear me? Can, how are you? So I'm Kim. I'm just delighted to meet you on this little Zoom conference that we're having. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. You work for Jackson Madison County Schools, and I was going to ask you, are you guys, I assume you're all working from home, the schools are closed. First of all, did you have any disruption from the tornadoes that hit last month? And second of all, what disruptions you guys have had from the shutdown from the COVID-19 virus? How has this felt for you to have to live through these two tumultuous events over just the past, it's been like 2.5 weeks?
The curriculum that we decided to go with that's online, our kids have not really used a whole lot. And it's very different from what we taught the rest of the year that we've been in school. So it's a learning process for all of us.
Thankfully, we're about 3 miles from where the damage happened for the tornadoes. It happened like at the end of the major road that we're off of.
Wow.
But my youngest is special needs, and she goes to Stoner Creek, and her school is gone.
The tornado was very humbling. It actually hit not too far from my college apartment. And then obviously, you can tell I'm at work.
Yes.
We're considered essential.
I really am excited that you have expressed this interest on becoming a teacher, because I know how much we need teachers, particularly in rural counties where you are.
I really want to do something to work in healthcare.
You started your program at WGU, right, as of yesterday, correct?
Yes, it started yesterday.
How exciting. And you started your program actually Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, April 1. You are one of those veterans that know what it's really like in the classroom.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you bring all that experience to bear when you start out as a teacher. You're going to be head and shoulders above people who have not had your experience. Well, when we look at scholarship awards, one of the things we look at are people who are going to change the face of their profession. And so it sounds to me like you have a plan of doing something that will really change your community and change your profession. Well, I just want to hear a little bit about how things were going for you, because I have some excellent news for you. Well, I have a good, important piece of news for you that could not be more timely. Thank you for all you've done. And I also have the honor today to tell you that we have decided to award you one of our 10K scholarships, $10,000 to help you along your way. So we're so happy to be able to offer you this help to pay for your master's degree.
Thank you so much.
$10,000 for your degree program. So yes, so we're going to be giving you $10,000 towards working on your MBA degree.
Oh my God.
So you're a winner.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
Oh my God. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right, thank you so much for showing that. We have been doing all of our scholarship awards via Zoom, and we found that it actually can be really wonderful. It's a great way to surprise students, and it's a wonderful way for us to help them. So I also wanted to give you a little bit of information about some other things that we've been doing. So we often give scholarship awards to help students who have financial need. Even our low tuition is something that many of our students do not have that they can spare, because they are, again, working adults. Many of them are paying their mortgage. They have children at home. They have many things happening to them, even without COVID-19, that make it hard for them to go back to school. So we've been committed to scholarships, and we've given almost $4 million in scholarships to Tennesseans since we launched WGU Tennessee back in 2013. And we give more all the time. So the other thing that came up with COVID-19, though, is we kept hearing stories from our students of needs that they had that were not about tuition. It was, they had their tuition covered. Many of them were in the middle of a term, but it was about, I can't pay my electric bill. I just lost my job. I haven't received any unemployment yet. Or, my spouse lost his job, and we were a 2-income family, and we've got to pay our rent this month, and we're really struggling with that. So WGU nationally created a program using our own funds, which I think is pretty amazing. We set aside $10 million, which was a combination of some of WGU's, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have reserve funds, as nonprofit universities often do. So we set aside some of that money. We also fundraised. with our own employees and partners. All of us donated into this fund so that we could have $10 million to give out to our students across the country in small increments. These were like $500 loans, but we worked with a company that helped us get these loans decided and sent out within 48 to 72 hours. The students could get the funding because we sent it all out electronically. We made the application process very quick. And we were able to set aside, as I say, 10 million across the country. We gave all that out within the first few weeks of when we found out about the pandemic. So we were able to start giving money out by about mid-April. We actually expended that entire fund within just a few weeks. We are in the process of fundraising within our own community to raise more money to give to our students who still are having post-COVID-19 financial hardship. $67,500 in grants were given to 135 WGU students who resided in the state of Tennessee. And those grants were often the things that, standing between them and not being able to pay their bills. So I'm pretty excited that we were able to be a part of that. So next slide. Another thing we're working on, which actually was in process before COVID-19 hit, but it's even more important now, is to try to do something to help with online access. I know you talk about this in the chamber all the time. We also work with the Knoxville Chamber. They talk about this all the time. Online access right now is absolutely critical. So many children across our state are still going to school online. And so without an online connection, a strong online connection, a high quality online, they cannot do their schoolwork. And we face the same issue. Many of our students at WGU who used to do their testing, which is proctored testing and requires a camera and requires a good internet connection, used to do their testing at work, or they used to access their course materials at work. And in many cases, when their office was shut down, they might not have had good internet at home. And so one of the things we've been working on for a long time is to try to create a scholarship which will allow students who do not have access. It may be because they are living in a rural area and any access is priced just sky high. It might be $150 to get a satellite connection a month. And that might just be too much for a lot of families. It might be a choice between that and groceries. Or in some cases, it might be an urban area where there are many choices, but the family just does not have the funds to pay for the internet access. So here in Tennessee, as you can see, 40.5% of Tennesseans, which is, when you think about it, almost half, don't have access to what we would call a high quality, low priced internet plan. 27% don't have an internet subscription at all. And so again, for them and for their children, it's very difficult for them to have any success in education without an online connection. And certainly in this day of COVID-19 and people working from home, it's even more important. So if we'll go to the next slide, there's a little bit more information on this. COVID-19 has compounded the problem because we've seen that everyone, even I work from home now, my husband does as well, and I have an adult daughter who's working from home as well. And we often cannot get enough bandwidth when all three of us are on a video call at the same time. We have glitches, we have problems. So we know this is a problem for most family. And also we know that broadband consumption has risen dramatically since COVID-19 hit, and I think will continue to rise. So we have established a scholarship to try to help students who don't have access. And this is a whole different scholarship from what we've done in the past. For students that are chosen as the recipient, we ship them a laptop computer, a camera, everything they need to access the internet. Then we pay their internet company, whatever internet company is available, whether that's bringing in satellite or dealing with a cable company in a major city. And we tell them we will pay their internet costs through the course of their degree. And then at the end of their degree, they have 30 days to continue the service and they get to keep all the hardware. So it's a really great opportunity. It's something that we have just launched, and it's very different from what we've done in the past. So we have another video. Our second video is a video that we are running actually in the Tri-Cities and Knoxville area, because that is our area of emphasis for this campaign of online access, is right here in East Tennessee. So I'd love to show this one as well.
Dear Robert.
Dear
Like you, 21 million Americans are struggling to maintain internet access at home.
The fact that you're pursuing an education despite this financial difficulties speaks to your dedication and ambition.
Seeing as if you've had to take on multiple jobs to manage your loan,
You had to leave your job as an essential worker due to your son's health concerns.
Since you moved to rural Texas with your growing family,
We know that having reliable access to internet has become a challenge for you.
that's why we're thrilled to offer you.
a WGU online access scholarship.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Mama,
Your scholarship will cover the ongoing cost of broadband internet in your home.
so you can follow your dream of becoming a teacher.
Follow your dream of running a successful family business.
Of one day becoming a school principal.
We're wishing you a warm and well-deserved congratulations.
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 We won't rest until everyone has access to higher education.
And the tools to make it possible.
Sincerely, Western Governors University.
All right, so if we'll go to the last slide I have, and then I think we may have a minute or two for questions. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on that. Part of our work on online access is also policy work. We have a partnership with the National Governors Association, and it was actually the Western Governors Association that helped create WGU back in 1997, and they've always backed having online options for working adults, and really that's where WGU was born, was in this type of group of governors working together to solve problems within their states. So we're also advocating policies across the nation with state governments and with the federal government to really help all American citizens have access to high quality internet at a reasonable cost. And that's become a major policy plank of what we're trying to work for across the country. So that is it. Those are the things we're doing right now. We have been super busy, as all higher ed institutions have been, but that's what we've been doing. And if there's time, I'll be glad to answer a question or two.
Yes, there is time, and you do have some questions in the chat. So I'm going to just read those for you. You have a question, the technology scholarship that includes the laptop camera and internet subscription. Are you able to do this through a grant available to all institutions, or is this an grant scholarship program specific for WGU?
Great, that's a great question. And right now, this isn't right. What we are funding is a scholarship program, which is essentially like a grant or scholarship to WGU students. So that's what we're using the funding for, is essentially as our students apply and we receive their FAFSA information. If they apply for this scholarship, they can also get this as well as a tuition scholarship. So it is for us to reach out to our high need students, and in many cases our rural students, because internet access is so expensive. We are working on policy at the state and national level to try to do what you're talking about, which is to provide some long-term funding to help communities that struggle with internet access to build up their infrastructure, which helps all citizens. But our program right now is focused on WGU students who are just starting their program with us.
Oh, okay. We have another question. Looking on the horizon, what are some programs that might appear in the online environment?
So WGU, because it was founded by a group of governors, is very workforce oriented. And one of the things that allows us to stay low cost is we really limit what we do. Our goal is not to provide the full spectrum of programs that you might get at East Tennessee State University. It is a comprehensive public university, and they provide, hundreds of programs. We only provide bachelor's and master's degrees in business, IT, health, which includes nursing, and teaching. Because we really are very career focused. We get questions all the time from our alumni, when are you going to start a doctoral program? But we are not planning to start a doctoral program. One of the reasons is because there are great doctoral programs that our traditional colleges and universities provide. And there's not, doing a doctoral program really requires you to be a research focused university, which has not been our focus. But I'm telling you, all of our master's graduates, every one of them seem to come back and say, I want to do my doctorate with you. So the thing we're actually innovating in, the space that you'll see more from us, is not not moving up the food chain of higher ed degrees, it's moving down. So we're in the process right now of developing and releasing several sub-degree credentials, or what you might call stackable micro credentials. We already have kind of it's called an online program. It's an online IT bachelor's-esque kind of degree through edX. If you've heard of edX, it's one of the MOOC providers. Very low cost. It gives them all the basics they need to start into IT if they're new to IT. And then they can also roll those courses to us and get credit for them as though they took them from another higher ed institution. So what you'll see from us going forward is a lot more of these smaller bites, a stackable degree, a stackable set of courses that may only cost a few $100s. So students that aren't ready to jump into a whole bachelor's degree can take an introductory set of courses. Then if they decide that's all they need, it's very low cost. They can roll with that. They can take whatever certifications they gained if it's an IT program and move that into the workforce. But if they then want to roll it later into a baccalaureate degree, they can do that. So we're actually moving down below the bachelor's degree primarily and working in the certificate space, but they're all stackable so that they would stack within our bachelor's degrees.
Okay. The last question we have is potential students just over the line in Virginia. Do you have any differences for in-state versus out-of-state?
That's a great question we get all the time, because we're founded by governors, so people sometimes think we're a public institution, but we're actually a 501c3 nonprofit university. So we're like a Tusculum University or a Carson Newman University. We're a nonprofit. We have our own independent governing board, but we don't charge any differential tuition. So, you know, the programs you can access and what you pay for your degree is the same, whether you live in Tennessee or North Carolina or Virginia. And one of the advantages, many of our students are military connected. So they may be a military spouse or active duty. If they have to move from station to station, all they have to do is move to their new place, plug in their computer and keep going, which is, I think, one of the wonderful things about our program. So we don't do any kind of differential tuition. It's about $7,000 a year, all in, including all of your learning materials. And it doesn't change regardless of where you live. The only difference I would say is that 10K scholarship that we run each year in Tennessee is money, because Tennessee invested in WGU, that's money that you have to be a Tennessee resident to compete for. So some of our scholarship dollars have a geographic component to them, but our programs are the same and the cost is the same regardless of where you live. But that's a great question.
Okay, well, thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate your wonderful presentation. Now I would like to please welcome Erin Gray, the homeless outreach worker with the City of Kingsport, and also Jonathan Anderson, the homeless service liaison with Engage Tri-Cities and United Way. They will give us an update on the Kingsport City Homeless Program.
Well, thank you all so much for having us this morning. My name is Jonathan Anderson, and I'm the Homeless Services Liaison in partnership with United Way and the City of Kingsport. And so Erin and I will be providing a brief overview of our homeless services right now in our city and what we are doing through our positions. So the Homeless Services Liaison position was created in the fall of last year. Erin and I have stepped into these roles in the beginning of 2020 and kind of hit the ground running. And so as the Homeless Services Liaison, I will be tasked with working with our Homeless Coalition, our newly formed Homeless Coalition. Our Homeless Coalition is comprised of organization leaders, city leaders, community citizens, and it's all with a purpose of addressing needs in our city. And so our vision with the Homeless Coalition is a coordinated and compassionate plan to serve the homeless population of the greater Kingsport area with a mission of a coalition of public and private, nonprofit, and faith-based agencies that we can focus on maximizing resources and minimizing redundancy in our city. And so through the Homeless Coalition, what we are currently addressing is we are looking at our data. anything that we do through the Homeless Coalition, we want to make sure that we are data driven. And so we are currently accessing our data right now. One of the pieces of data that we historically will look at is our PIT count. And what that is a point in time count that we do every year, which is mandated through HUD. And so this allows us to count folks who are either sheltered or unsheltered in a 24-hour period, one night in January. And so as over the last few years, we have historically seen a bit of an uptick in our homeless population. The good news is this is not solely a Kingsport opportunity, but this is something that we're seeing across the nation, is an increase in our homeless population. And so through the Homeless Coalition, we're working with all of our local partners, our local agencies such as Salvation Army, Hope Haven, Shades of Grace, and so many others. And one of the issues that we do have currently in the Kingsport area is a coordinated entry plan. And so currently we have folks who are on the street who are going to lots of different organizations for lots of different needs. And so through that, they may end up in an organization that is unable to assist them. And so what that does is that creates frustration for the client, but it also takes up time for the volunteers or the employees that are there at that particular organization. And so through a coordinated entry, we would have a single point of entry where all of our folks who are needing assistance would go to. And from there, we can be connecting them with the proper organizations, with the proper resources. And so what that does is it allows us to reduce some of the frustration for the clients, and then also allows us to reduce some of the frustration for our organizations as well. In addition to that, we're also working on communication with our organizations. Our goal is to produce a by name list, and what that would do is that would allow us to have communication across the board, a system of communication across the board with all of our local organizations. And so when a client would come into, say, Salvation Army, for instance, if they have received services at another organization, Salvation Army would be able to look up this individual and see what services they have accessed, where they are in a plan that they have presented, and would be able to assist them in moving forward. And that way we're reducing some of the redundancy as well, so that we don't have two different organizations that are working on some of the same things. So those are some of the things that we're currently working on through our Homeless Coalition right now. We greatly appreciate the opportunity, and I will turn it over to Erin to talk a little bit about what she does on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you guys for having us. I'm Erin Gray. I'm a social worker with the City of Kingsport. I'm housed in the police department. So I make contact with individuals on the street. Those referrals can be made via officers or our current service providers. Help triage if people need help getting into rehab, mental health treatment. I can help facilitate that. Right now, since January, my referrals, either face-to-face, phone, or people that's just been referred I've not been able to find, has been about 233 individuals since January. So really it's just case managing in a different way, that I go find them, and just working with the different organizations.
Okay, do we have any questions for Erin and Jonathan?
We do not have any that's came in.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you both, Erin and Jonathan. We appreciate the update. Now we're going to hear an update on the Abraham Lincoln Elementary School Playground Project from the chairman, Denny Darnell.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez and the Chamber of Commerce for allowing me to speak for a couple minutes this morning. I'm chairman of the Lincoln Playground Project, which is a subpart of the Abraham Lincoln Elementary School Parent-Teacher Association. In mid-2018, Andy True from Kingsport City Schools and several principals did a survey of all the playgrounds of the elementary schools and identified 3 schools that had playgrounds that were failing, have reached their lifespan, and needed replacement. And the issue that came with that is typically Kingsport City Schools or the City of Kingsport had not provided funding for those organizations or the schools to build playgrounds. It was typically reliant upon the parent-teacher organizations or the parent-teacher associations to fundraise. If you remember over the past couple of years, the castle at Andrew Johnson and the massive fundraising process that they took to be able to rebuild the castle. We reached a point to where our playground in the fall of 2019 that was irreparable and needed immediate replacement. We were not in the position to have started fundraising or to begin fundraising. So we have partnered with Kingsport City Schools and the Board of Education, as well as the school itself and our organization, to fundraise as much as we can through the end of October. We set a goal for $50,000. Currently, we're at 67% received in cash. We do have several more $1,000s that have been pledged, and we're real close to our goal. And at that point in October, we'll turn it over to the city, and they will begin the process of bidding that out, engineering, as well as demolition and building a new playground, hopefully by August. The city is probably going to be putting in around $325,000 of that. So it's a new approach that every school, every child in the Kingsport City district should receive an equitable education, and that includes playground. And currently in a pandemic, it's very important for kids to be outside in the open air and playing. And we would appreciate you checking out our Facebook page, reaching out to the Lincoln community, discussing that, hey, they're needing a new playground. The school is not closing, as was mentioned in an article earlier this year in the Times News. And additionally, we're celebrating our 100th year of Lincoln. It opened in January 3rd, 1921 at the now Renaissance Center, and the current building in 1936. So I have become very proud of the Lincoln community that are alumni, 4th generation, 5 generations that have talked about the playground, were there when this playground was built in 1991. But if you go to our website, you can see the rendering that our concept that we're planning and hope to have installed by August of next year.
Okay, well, thank you, Denny. What a wonderful project. Now I would like to invite to speak Aisha Banks, the Executive Director of Healthy Kingsport, to share an update on Healthy Kingsport.
Good morning. I am delighted to join you today and speak about Healthy Kingsport. We are a grassroots, community-led collaboration focused on promoting wellness and enhancing infrastructure and influencing policies. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, you may be asking, why Healthy Kingsport? The answer is simple. Tennessee is in many ways one of the best places to live and work, but for the past 20 years, our state has consistently ranked among the top 10 least states that is not healthy. According to the American Health Ranking in 2019, Tennessee ranked 44th in the overall health and well-being, which we have dropped one space since 2018. As a result, Tennessee suffers from behavior-related health problems and serious chronic diseases. Across the state, business spends about $5.3 million annually on direct medical care costs related to behavior diseases. So I'm here to update you on the 3 platforms that Healthy Kingsport has, which is one of our platforms, and you can switch it to the next slide, is the Live Sugar-Free campaign. The Healthy Kingsport has advocated to fundraise for 57 schools and 24 businesses for refilling stations. We have also advocated to raise and distribute $20,000 plus 20,000 water bottles to Kingsport City School and Sullivan County Schools. We've provided organizations with tools and messaging targeting and swapping unhealthy and healthy beverages. With that said, We also support and equip 300 plus organizations with health, beverages, messages, toolkits, and sample policies as they implement improved beverages policies targeted at reducing accessibilities and conveniences. Basically taking that sugary beverage out of that workplace and changing it over to water. With our tobacco-free campus update, we have also advocated 77 organizations that are actually tobacco-free, which comes out to be about 43 direct employees. We have two large organizations that has no hire policy, which is Ballot Health and Blue Cross of Tennessee. You can switch to the next slide. Next slide, sorry. So our next big challenge is the Million Mile City Challenge, which everybody is familiar with. As of today, we have 156 days remaining. We have a total of about 483 participants. And with that said, we have walked so far, Kingsport, 3,549,417 miles. We only have 40,583 miles to go. Even during the pandemic, our walkers were averaging at about 6,718 steps, which is 2.3 times the daily amount. So great job, Kingsport and the surrounding areas for helping us with that. So we are on the track of finishing. What we kind of estimated is we'll be over the 4 million miles. And if we keep doing what we're doing, we will average about 5,588,900 miles. So everybody give themselves a hand and great job on the Walker Tracker app. Our next slide, please. So our next program that we are launching, which we launched about 3 weeks ago, it's called our Landview Walkers, and we're over at the new track in Landview. And what this is promoting is for our seniors to get out and walk. So what we do is we're partnering with the City of Kings Parks and Rec and the Senior Citizen Building, and we get out with our seniors and we walk every Thursday. Now, the seniors are continuing to walk daily every day. They contact Healthy Kingsport, and most of our seniors do have a smartphone, but they're not really using it, so they will contact us and we will log their information into the Walker Tracker app. Our seniors are doing great. Like I said, we have about 43 seniors that come out and walk with us every Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. So if you know any seniors, please let them know about our walking program. Next slide, please. So at the end of the day, it's all about the care and keeping of our future generation. We have a responsibility to leave our community better than we have found it. So I would like to end this PowerPoint just saying this is our email address. If your business or your organization would like to be a part of Healthy Kingsport and help us with that pledge, please contact us. Thank you for your time and have a healthy day.
Thank you for the update, Aisha. I think we're all inspired to get walking and let's get healthy.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Now, Nicole Austin, Membership Engagement Director with your Kingsport Chamber, will share our upcoming events.
Good morning. On Tuesday, September the 15th, we have our 28th annual golf scramble. There's going to be 2 flights at 8:45 in the morning and of course in the afternoon at 2 p.m. We're putting lots of safety precautions in place and we hope that you will sign up now for a team. There are also whole sponsorships and other sponsorships available. So for more information, contact Bob Fegans. On September the 17th at noon, our Cosby program will host a seminar, Guidance on Your Social Media Marketing During 2020. And that's with our good friend Valentina with Beyond Engagement. She's going to do a great job on that. So go to cosby.org to sign up or for more information. On Friday, September the 18th, we have another virtual Friday coming up, and this is going to be sponsored by United Way of Greater Kingsport. So look for that invite coming soon and make sure to sign up and join us on Friday, September the 18th. On Wednesday, September the 23rd at 8:30, we have a virtual new member orientation. This is our first one this year, and we're excited to bring you that virtually. We're going to have some neat things we're trying out, like some breakout rooms, so there's going to be opportunities for questions. And of course, it's a good opportunity to get to know your Kingsport Chamber programs, our staff, and the best ways to utilize your membership. So look for an invite on that coming soon, and we hope you'll join us on Wednesday, September the 23rd at 8:30 in the morning. Our Workforce Development Program has announced a new job training and employment series. It's going to begin in September. So there's more information to come on that. If you have questions, contact Laura Barnett with our Workforce Development Department. It's going to be a really good upcoming group of training seminars and employment series. Our Governor Lee announced an expansion last week to the Small Business Relief Funds. This program has been expanded to include additional businesses like agriculture, tourism, workforce development. You can go to tn.gov for more information. Don't leave that money on the table. They are truly reaching out and trying to help some of our Tennessee businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19. And finally, our chamber directories have arrived. Look for a chamber staff member or one of our volunteers to be out to your business soon delivering those. We've been out each week delivering those chamber membership directories, and they look great. So we hope to see all of you soon. Thank you and have a great week.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. So many great things within our community in which everyone can get out and get involved and participate. Next, Stephanie Hernandez, Membership Event Director with your Kingsport Chamber, will now give some closing remarks.
Thank you, Ramona. It's always a pleasure to have you. Just as a reminder, always be wearing your facial mask and maintaining 6 feet apart while you're in public. Your Kingsport Chamber is committed to getting our community back to normal the safest way possible. If you have any questions about best practices during this time, please visit our website at kingsportchamber.org for guidance. You can also visit our website and Facebook pages for daily updated information. Your Kingsport Chamber is here to help you, our business community, to rebuild and become stronger than ever before. We would like to thank our sponsor today, Western Governors University, for sponsoring today's virtual Fourth Friday. We would also like to thank our food sponsor, which is Wheeler's Bagels. Everyone that has participated in this webinar will get a coupon via email from Wheeler's Bagels for 2 free bagels with a smear and 2 soft drinks or 2 coffees. Now, thank you guys all so very much for coming today, and have a wonderful weekend.